Hi there, welcome to Caroline's Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Pisces energy, and like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Pisces energy, the bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy. We all have to make decisions in our life, and we can battle within our free will. Do we have hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams and in love and in others, or do we live more in our fear and our insecurity or our pride or our ego? And so some people could be battling within themselves and they could really struggle within themselves. Other people are happy kind of living their life the way they live it, don't feel a need to debate within themselves what's going on. Some people could be a little more high vibrational than other people. Maybe they do operate more from love and treat other people the way they like to be treated and are more just and fair and balanced within themselves. And some other people might be a little more aligned with their more worldly nature or immature nature or something that maybe kind of have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. Just could be immature, or, lots of, our shadowy nature covers a lot of different things, and we'll talk about it in the reading. And you could feel some people are a little more immature or bossy or whatever. They could think you're kind of immature and bossy, and they could know other people that they feel, we're all trying to find people who we think are on the more of the same page as us, and aligned with our dreams and what we find emotionally fulfilling. But the truth is, there are some shadowy people in the world, and they can try to create an illusion that they're a more high vibrational person than they are. And they can try to emotionally confuse people about the truth, try to manipulate people. And, we just need to be aware that not everybody is who they say they are. Not everybody is inspired by love. Some people fear love. They get hurt doing love, want to be in a relationship just to indulge themselves in it. If they start to feel they're entering the danger zone of love, they can leave a relationship because they're not willing to do that. And we just need to see the truth of it. We need to see the truth that some people are manipulative, egotistical, self-centered, narcissistic, much more materialistic maybe than they give off in the world. So listen to your intuition. It's kind of in Pisces energy what people's dreams are, and if they have illusions about relationships, and if they try to emotionally confuse people about the truth. So listen to where you might be in the story. Listen to your intuition where other people might be in the story. So let's do the bottom row first, because less cards came out with that one right away. And it's kind of clear cut. Let me see here. Okay. So in the bottom row, we have the Knight of Swords, which can be that some people are defensive to change. The Death card can talk about death and transformation, where we kind of see the truth because the truth sets us free. And some people are like, I don't want to see the truth because I don't want to change. If I were to move forward in life differently, there's things I'd have to let go of. And there might be things I don't want to let go of. If they were, maybe they can be kind of immature or impulsive or bossy or controlling or immature or just more about themselves. And they don't want to put an end to that. And they don't want to temper their ego or their fear or their insecurity or their lust or their greed or their bossy or controlling or manipulative nature. Whatever it is, these cards have a lot of different meanings and what it can be in shadow. Some people are just defensive. The Knight comes from the King and Queen of Swords. And that can be about, I don't want to be just and fair. I don't want to speak my truth. I don't look at life from a higher perspective. I'm more aligned with being motivated and inspired by my more worldly egoic nature. That's what drives and motivates me. And they might not want to listen to their intuition because the Moon card, which is Pisces energy, is the reason for the reading coming out. Some people, the moon is different than the sun. And in shadow, the moon can be that people don't want to be enlightened to the truth. They don't want to deal with the truth. They don't want people to see the truth about them. They don't want to do love. They don't want to have to grow up. They don't want to temper their ego. Some people like to live in denial. you know? And that's their truth. And some people aren't motivated in their fire sign energy. I view the Fool as Aries energy and the Strength card as Leo. They don't harness their fire sign energy where they want to be more bold and brave and maybe be more authentically themselves in the world. They have detached and hidden their more authentic, hopeful, believing, loving nature, bold, brave, confident nature. They keep that aspect of themselves buried beneath the surface. Because they have free will. And the Knight of Swords is Gemini energy, which is about our dualistic nature of free will. I don't choose to be more bold and brave and confident. I don't want to temper my ego, my fears, my insecurities, to be less manipulated by things, to be more free, to live my more authentic life. That is not my truth. That, to me, doesn't seem to be the way I should live my life. And I've put an end to that. And instead, I'm more motivated and inspired in the Death card to not give birth to anything new. I'm happy living my life the way I'm living it. I don't want to change. But shadowy Scorpio can be that, maybe a little more emotionally shallow and superficial because, we can all be more caught up in the world, caught up in an illusion about ourselves, and that things should be more about us and people should indulge me. That's shadowy Pisces. I want to indulge myself in the world, and I want other people, if I indulge me in my more immature, prideful nature, defensive nature, I'm looking for someone who will buy into the illusion, maybe make their life more about me, or these things of the world that we want to go make our life about or indulge in. And I'm looking for someone who's on the same page as me. And if I get in a relationship with people and, we all have been more inspired by the world and we've all been more immature and we've all been more fearful and defensive and operating a little bit more from our ego and inspired more by these things of the world because we've all got lessons to learn. And if at different times these people find themselves in relationships with people and those people kind of work through some of their fears and their insecurities is what the moon can talk about, and their defensiveness, and they start to wonder, why do I keep repeating some past patterns that in the Death card don't work out the way I think? Why do I maybe keep indulging poor behavior in myself and in others? Why do I do that? Or just why do I have these fears or these insecurities? Why am I not more bold and brave and confident? And I need to learn to temper my fears and my insecurities because I want in high vibe Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy, the air sign energies. I could have been in more self-protective energy. I could have been in more defensive energy. I could have been more caught up in these things of the world. And I went and pursued those things, and then it didn't turn out the way I wanted. I'm not seeing things clearly, and I do want to get to the truth. So I'm going to stop repeating those old patterns and indulging poor behavior in myself and others. And I'm going to work through my own fears and insecurities about why I do what I do, and maybe try to figure out why other people do what they do, and are we even on the same page? If I do have hope and faith and belief and love, and that's kind of the journey, the Fool talks about going on these journeys in life, and I am someone who's in high vibe Leo, I want to be in authentic, warm, and loving, and encouraging and supportive relationships. maybe I just wasn't listening to my intuition before, and we've all got lessons to learn about listening to our intuition. Did my intuition try to tell me, you shouldn't do this, this isn't a good idea, but we're like, get out of my way, and my ego, I want to go do it anyway. And, and we went and did what we wanted to go do, and it probably didn't work out the way we wanted, because I do think because of the fact that people can wear false masks, and we don't know the truth about, people have shit buried beneath the surface. We don't really know what drives and motivates people. And I think our intuition, which is kind of represented by Pisces and our fire sign energy, I think our intuition is like a gift given to us to help us navigate in this world. But sometimes we're defensive to listening to it because we want to go indulge in what we want to go indulge in, which isn't like life-giving energy. It's not adding to our life. It's not kind of moving us in the right direction, but we got to go learn some lessons the hard way. And so we did, and some other people still are. And we all still have lessons to learn. But some of the high vibe people had those same lessons to learn. And some of those people could be being patient, kinda, and know that some other people in their life are still defensive, don't love and believe in themselves, maybe aren't listening to their intuition, could be driven more by their fear, or their insecurity, or their ego. And they see the truth of it. And if it's people that we'd like to be in a relationship with or have a better relationship with, whether they're our adult children, our siblings, our friends, our family, coworkers, we do have to accept that people are where they're at. And all we can do is kind of offer people love and encouragement and love. But they have the free will choice to live their life the way they want it. And some of those people are like, no, I do not want to do life like you do it. I want to go do life like this. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to get out of my ego about it. Just like not everybody who wants to hang out with me or date me are people I want to hang out with or date. We're kind of looking for people who are kind of on the same page with. And not everybody, we could think, hey, I think we're kind of on the same page. And they might be like, no. And part of it might be because they can, if we're being like authentic and truthful and just and fair and loving, they might know that they might try to present themselves as that type of person, but that might not really be who they are. And so they could know that, if they were to be in a relationship with some high vibe people, they can't be as defensive as they like to be. They can't be maybe as superficial and shallow. They can't be intimidating and controlling. They can't manipulate you. And they might only like to be in relationships with people who they can do that with, right? So eventually, high vibe people have already worked through this with other people in their life. And, we've always got people in our life, though, that kind of challenge us. Because, again, they're people that we can have love for and we don't understand. We'd like them to love and believe in themselves. Just like when we were young, there's people in our life that wish we weren't repeating some old patterns, but we were. And, some people are the same age as us, and they're repeating some poor past patterns, right? You have to face your fears to be more open and authentic and loving. And for some people, to let their more authentic nature out to play in the world is too scary. So they're going to not do that. And so high vibe people and other people in the world that are working through this right now with some people, we kind of get out of our ego about it. And we just realize that life, the world card can talk about learning lessons. And we all have different dreams and what we're motivated and inspired by, and what we're motivated and inspired by at different times in our life or at different stages of our emotional maturity level. Later we do kind of get more inspired And some people will, as time maybe goes by, to quit being more about themselves and their ego and their image or their fear or their insecurity or their lust or their greed or more indulgent nature. And they'll be more inspired to, that there's more to life than how long am I going to keep indulging myself in certain things before, it kind of gets old. And some people did go indulge in those things. It kind of got old in the death card, which can be, there's nothing new to learn here. It's the same old thing over and over. When I first went and got in it, yeah, it was great. I was all into that life experience. There was no stopping me. And then I kind of got my cards messed up here. And then as time goes by, we kind of see through the illusion of things that we thought they were the answer to making us happy. Those things we indulged in or those things we made our life about. And then we kind of realized, and again, we come in contact with all these different people in the world to find out if we're our truth is the same as their truth, or just to help us get clear about what our truth is, because we got a lot of lessons to learn and we don't even know what our truth is in the moon card. We have to get to know ourselves and go on this journey in life to learn all these lessons. And then as we become clear, yep, that's not my truth. That was my truth. But just like you lived your life the way you lived it when you were 15 and 18 and 21 and 25, do I want to keep living my life like that? No. Do I want to keep hanging out with people who live their life like that and act like that? No, because that's not the age that I'm at, and it had its time and its place. And then there's a time, to start focusing on the next level of life. Because in the Three of Wands, in Aries energy again, I harness my Aries energy differently, my fire sign energy different. The things I was motivated and inspired by, that had its time and its place. I learned lessons, and then I temper my fears and my insecurities to believe that, I still think there's more to life. I don't want to keep living like a 21 or a 25-year-old. I have a dream, and then I'm going to go pursue those dreams, and I'm going to detach from that old way of life, and I'm going to move forward in life differently. And again, when some people are ready to kind of move forward in life and face their fears and step out of their comfort zone and detach, that's also the death card and kind of the world card. Emotionally, I don't find it as, and Nine of Pisces energy is about emotionally fulfilling. I did find that emotionally fulfilling and living my life that way and viewing life, because that's just the way I viewed life and the age of life and my maturity level. But now I don't find it as emotionally fulfilling, and I think the only reason I kind of keep doing it is if I keep indulging my more immature nature or out of my fear in my ego about loving and believing in myself and kind of going to the next phase of life. And when some people are ready to move forward, some other people aren't. And with most people, it's not a big deal. We're all kind of moving forward in different ways. We don't even really think about it. It's like, yep, they're doing what they're doing and I'm doing what I'm doing. It's more of a problem if it's like a close friendship or relationship or a romantic relationship. And we'd hope those people would kind of be willing to keep working with us, to keep moving forward with us. And, sometimes our past can go in different directions. And again, when, it can, even when we're younger and say people went off to college and other people didn't move to college and other people moved to go get a different job and we all worked at the same job and people moved to the next town and we're afraid of moving out of our town. It's all those things. And sometimes we can still be friends, but it's scary to kind of face our fears, to go listen to our intuition that I don't feel this is the right thing for me. Maybe it's the right thing for you, but it's not for me. So, and at one time it could have been, but I'm ready to move forward in life differently. So then the reason for the top rose reading coming out is the Seven of Wands, which is Leo energy. So it could be people who are Pisces sun signs and people who have significant Pisces placements, and just all of us right now in our own Pisces energy, it could be really kind of battling in our Leo nature about, am I willing to stand up for myself and what I believe in, or am I still more defensive to do that? You know, we can all have people in our life who are, that do try to manipulate and control us, could try to instill, like, oh, you shouldn't go do that. That's scary. You know, I don't think that'll work out. I don't think your dreams will come into reality there. I think you should keep doing this. And we can all be manipulated by our own shadow nature of fear and insecurity, immaturity, whatever. And then, you know, we also have people in our life who, if they live their life that way, they might not want us to love and believe in our dreams, because then we'd maybe be hanging out with people who love and believe in their dreams, and they want to be our friend. They want to be a major player in our life, even if they're just a friend or family member. Some people are very controlling. And if they don't live their life differently, and they could have given up on their dreams, and they're kind of making their life more about the illusion, well, it would kind of bother them. If some of the people in their life went and freed themselves and went to go live the life of their dreams, being more independent and authentic. I don't want you to go do that. Maybe if you go hang out with some different people, you'd kind of see how I kind of manipulate you. And I don't want you to become defensive to me, so I'm going to try to get you to be defensive to the loving, encouraging people in your life. You should trust me. You should align with me. And, you know, sometimes we can be in friendships and relationships with people, and we can kind of feel that people manipulate them and control them. But the whole thing is, we might not have wanted to see the truth that some people we were in relationship with can be manipulated by the world, by their lust, by their greed, by other people, by their fear, by their ego. And, you know, we kind of didn't want to see it. And so then sometimes I think God uses other people to reveal the truth to us that we didn't want to see. And so we can kind of be mad at people like, well, if those people went to try to manipulate or control them, or if those people were, you know, people in our life wouldn't align with those people if there wasn't a part of them that was more of how they kind of wanted to live their life to begin with. You can't make, I mean, you can try, but, and some people are very manipulated, but they could have fear of loving and believing in themselves, and until they're ready to stand up for themselves, and some never will. And they'll keep living a life that isn't aligned with their truth. But partly because they're kind of more aligned with living their life that way too. You know, you have to tip in favor of one way or the other of, are you going to be more independent, stand up for yourself, love and believe in yourself, or do you get manipulated by all these things within you and outside of you to kind of let go of your dreams and make your life more about, well, this looks good. You know, this looks worth defending. It might not be what I love. People in my life might be manipulative or controlling, but by worldly standards, I could look like I have justice in the world. And if I were to leave this and go believe in my dreams, what if I don't get the justice I want? Well, at least you'd be living your authentic life than living an illusion. Let's go look at the top row. We have the Four of Pentacles, the Seven of Swords, the Hermit, the Queen of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, the Eight of Cups, and the Queen of Swords, and the Nine of Swords. So, what some people have done, and some people are doing, they're holding back from how their own mind and their fear and their insecurity tries to manipulate them. It has manipulated me in the past, but things didn't work out the way I wanted, and kind of all those voices in my head that told me, no, you should do this, not that. No, you should do this. This will be great. This will make you feel better. You know, And it's like, wait a minute, I've already done that and it didn't work out the way I wanted. And I could have had other people in my life who tried to tell me how to live my life, or this was right and this was wrong, and you should make your life more about this and not that. And it's like, we all have our ideas of what is just and fair, and what we value, what we don't value, what is important to us, what is less important to us. We could have an idea of what the dream life looks like, and they could have their idea of what the dream life looks like. Do we have the same dream or do we not? Because the Seven of Swords is Aquarius energy about what our dreams are. And sometimes we're kind of debating within ourselves because we do have free will and we have to make decisions. Are the people that I'm currently moving forward, or way I'm living my life, or the job that I'm in, should I keep moving forward in that or should I not? Sometimes we need to quit moving forward with what we were moving forward to take some time. And the Virgo hermit energy talks about to self-reflect. Why am I making the decisions I'm making? Is it more out of fear, insecurity, pride, ego, lust, greed, codependency, immaturity? What about the people who I'm in relationship with? What drives and motivates them? Is it more of these things of the world, or do they look at life from a higher perspective? Do I look at life from a higher perspective? Do I keep things in perspective, or do I get all caught up in my head? What about the people I'm in relationship with? What kind of people do I want to hang out with? What Virgo hermit energy is about taking this time to figure out what is my truth. And we offer love to the situation. Love to ourselves, love to others. Everybody has free will to live their life the way they want. Do we feel like some people in our life are being defensive to us because they're trying to manipulate us? We can have people in our life who it's like, well, if you're not doing the relationship I want, which is indulging me in my defensiveness or my ego or my immaturity or my bossy nature or my controlling nature or my more emotionally shallow, superficial nature, well, they don't want to do life the way you want to do it. So then, instead of being authentic and loving and working together with you cooperatively to work through it, their mode of operating is, I'm going to hold back from you because I know you love me, and I think you'll give up. I think I'll use the love that you have for me to manipulate me. And we have to see that also, that sometimes when we speak our truth and love to other people, and we are loving and encouraging, they're like, well, that's great, and I like having you in my life, but yeah, I'm not going to live my life like that. I'm not going to treat you the same way you treat me, because in order to do that, I would have to temper my ego, and I kind of like to be more about myself and indulge my more immature nature. And because you love me, I think I can confuse you and you'll kind of keep indulging me in my poor behavior. And some high vibe people said, no, you can act like that if you want. You have free will. But I'm not going to really be hanging out with you much. I have a dream, and it's not being in a relationship with people act like that. So you do you. You go live your life. I'll kind of live my life. Can we be social acquaintances? Can you be my sibling or my adult child? Yes. It's a little more challenging if you're already in a romantic relationship with someone like that. But there can always be people that I don't want to put an end to being more about myself. I know you love me, and I'm going to try to use the love that you have for me. I'm going to hold back from you. I'm going to try to get you up in your head and confuse you because I know you want a dream to come into reality. And that's when kind of people see the truth. My dream can only come into reality with other people who see that they even do try to manipulate and control people, and that's not love. Loving people love people. And they do this inner work to figure out, why would I even want to act in these shadowy ways of being? Why don't I want to be maybe more just and fair, act with character and integrity, be more authentic? And they just don't want to deal with the truth. And that's when you see that they got some growing up to do. That's not a loving way to behave in a relationship. You kind of want to be indulged in being kind of shadowy. So high vibe people go with the flow. They offer themselves that cup of love. The Eight of Cups walks away from the Seven of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. People are not taking action from love. We have free will in a relationship to act in a loving way, a just way, be authentic, or we can be in non-life-giving energy. I'll try to deceive and manipulate you and confuse you because I don't want to reveal the truth, or I don't, all these things I said. And so that can be when people realize, you're not who I thought you were. And this really, you kind of have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship, and you're maybe not as emotionally mature and stable and grounded and self-aware as I thought you were. And so I'm going to offer love to myself and the situation, but out of love for myself, I'm going to distance myself from you. I'm going to offer myself that cup of love because I've been offering it to these people and they don't seem to appreciate it. So I'm going to offer myself that cup of love to become more independent of them. The Eight of Cups is walking to the Nine of Cups. The 8, the 9, and the 10 are Pisces energy. Because I do feel betrayed. The Queen of Swords. I thought we had a dream we were working to bring into reality. You created the illusion that you weren't more about yourself, because anybody can harness shadowy Three of Wands Aries energy. Well, I had my idea of how I thought it was going to be, and I kind of think it should be more my way. Well, if you're going to work together with other people, you have to compromise. And some people are like, well, no, because your way means I do have to do this inner work. Because that's what Virgo energy is about. I need to see how I'm a little bit selfish, how I'm a little bit more about the world maybe than I let on, that I'm maybe more materialistic, or I'm more about myself, or I'm a little more egotistical, or I kind of think people should make it more about me. Well, we view life differently. And so then, high vibe people work through it, and it's confusing and it's hard. It's hard to work through all that. It's mentally confusing, it's emotionally confusing. But by offering love to it and to deal with the truth, to work through our own fears and insecurities and to stand up for what we believe in, I'm motivated and inspired to work with people who work together with me, who are authentic, warm, loving, have hope and faith and belief in themselves, in me, in love. And if they don't, then my dream can't come into reality with them. And I do need to stand up for what I believe in, because what they believe in is different. Their truth is different. And their idea of the dream life or the dream relationship is different. And in the Nine of Swords, from the One Sword to the Nine of Swords, this whole process was about, from the 7 down to the 1, is the Six of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. I had a dream. I thought we were going to move forward being more motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness, and kind of see the other person might be a little bit, their truth could be different. And then we worked through all of this to let go of that old dream. And then we have to work through getting out of our head about it. And so we keep offering love to it and ourselves to keep things in perspective, to not get up in our head about it, to look to the future, to stay focused on truth and love, being inspired, that I believe in those things, and I'm not going to settle for the illusion. And there's people in our life who want us to settle for the illusion and defend being in those jobs, friendships, or relationships with them when they're not really motivated and inspired to work together with us in a just and fair and more authentic and loving way where they kind of want to be indulged. So just like some of you have stood up for yourself against things like that, other people in the world could be doing it, and then they're working through this. And just like some of you have done it, there's other people who've done it before you. And, people are standing their ground in both ways of living life. And everybody's kind of waiting for other people to come around that are kind of on the same page as them. And, I'm looking for people who are more on the same page as me. And there'll always be people who kind of have the opposite viewpoint that might want to get in relationships with people. And the shadowy people can get in a relationship with someone, but it's like, oh shit, you're someone again who wants me to temper my ego. You're not willing to stay in the relationship for the illusion. Okay, yeah, you gotta go. And it just, the pattern can happen over and over and over. And high vibe people can have more materialistic, closed off, live more from their mind than their heart people who kind of just want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship. And I think high vibe people get to know them and it's like, nope, I'm moving on. And until we find someone who does this work within themselves to temper their more immature, being more about themselves in the world nature, does this work within themselves, and we come across them in life and we kind of realize we're on the same page. And the people in our life that are in that energy, we're going to keep moving forward with. And the people we meet who are in that energy, we're going to move forward with. And shadowy people who didn't move forward with more just and fair and loving and encouraging and maybe mature people than them, they're probably going to create an illusion about why that relationship didn't work out. Because they like to present themselves as like a just and fair and stable and grounded, emotionally mature person. So people will get in a relationship with them. But so they don't want to reveal the truth. Oh, well, they wanted me to quit being bossy or controlling. Who's going to tell people that? Oh, I took immature action and they weren't willing to keep putting up with my shit. They're probably not going to say that. Oh, well, I'm kind of more about myself in the world and ego and image. They're probably not going to say that. And then they try to get in relationships with other people and people, we don't know people well enough. We're trying to get to know them. The only thing is, for the shadowy people, is they can present themselves any way they want to in the world. But they can't stop other people from listening to their intuition. And as other people are getting to know them, it's like, I don't think you're telling me the truth. I think you're maybe more closed off than you present yourself as being. I kind of think you're a little maybe full of yourself, or more about how you look in the world is more what concerns you than just living your more authentic life and letting people think what they want to think, High vibe people kind of release themselves from all of that, because if I go out in the world and I treat people the way I like to be treated, and I'm just and I'm fair and I'm authentic and loving and encouraging with people, there's going to be some people who are like, oh my God, I don't want to hang around with you. That bothers me. Because it can shine a light on the fact that they're not very just or fair or loving or something, and then they don't want to hang out with people that are like that. And other people, well, if I can't deceive you and manipulate you, I don't want to hang around you. That's how I operate in the world, right? And high vibe people let people think what they want to think. I mean, whatever. Anyway, what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Pisces energy that they might not see coming? Some people could be in some relationships with people that they kind of keep moving forward with, and they could not want to be in it, but we can all get into something because we're defensive and we have fear and don't maybe love and believe in ourselves. And then we can get in relationships with people that are like, oh no, you're staying in this relationship. You got in it, you're not getting out of it. And it's again all about trying to get people to stand up for themselves. People can be in relationships with people who are loving and encouraging and supportive people inside, but if it's not your truth, it's not your truth. If you want me to kind of live my life like this, but I don't know, big town, small town, this way of being, that way of being, and that's really not the truth of who I am. Because in high vibe energy, there's the whole spectrum of different ways of what drives and motivates you and where you want to live and how you want to live and what you like to do that you find emotionally fulfilling versus what you don't. And there's a whole bunch of people to pick from that you can hang out with that are high vibe, loving, encouraging, nurturing people, but you're not really the person for me. And some people could be really stressed because they could have someone that because they were kind of in two minds, they kind of kept moving forward in it because in a lot of ways it was great and it was good and it was encouraging. And some people, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I am going to end up continuing to defend a relationship that I really don't want to be in. The Six of Swords, the Knight of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles. Why? Because of the King of Wands. Well, for the people who are willing to illuminate the truth, speak their truth, harnessing high vibe Aries energy, I have a dream. And I'm going to offer love to my more worldly foundation, to love and believe in myself, to be inspired to believe in my dreams. And I'm not going to stay in relationship with people. The Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords, and it could just be people who want you to move forward in life in a truth that isn't your truth. And some of the people in your life that could be more shadowy, they could be people who seem to have a lot of mental conflict that they don't want to deal with, or live more from their mind than their heart, or a little more egotistical, or some of them seem to want to win at all costs and they don't care who gets hurt. And it's really all about them. And as you were inspired to do this work within yourself, from the Nine of Swords down to the Six of Swords, you let go of the Three of Swords, which can, working through the heartbreak of it and the heart and mind conflict about it. High vibe people, I think, get out of their ego to speak their truth and love to people. This is how I'm moving forward. Have I made mistakes in life? Yes. Am I a fallible human being? Yes. But I have learned lessons. I've looked at life differently. I've worked through my fears and insecurities, and I'm more inspired to move forward in a more emotionally balanced, authentic, loving way. Who wants to move forward with me? And there's some people that could be tempted, but they might not work through the issues they need to work with, and they might have things that manipulate them that they won't move forward. Other people could get closer, but, fearful of speaking their truth or standing up for themselves, and other people will work through it. And of course, the people in your life that are already working with you in that energy, that is their truth. So they keep moving forward with other people who are that way. If it was leaving a job, a friendship, maybe a relationship, you're investing in people, also Virgo energy, that you think have learned some of the same lessons you have, that are inspired to do that work to free themselves from their more fearful, immature, egoic nature. That it is about a balance, that we all want some of these things of the world, but I also want emotionally stable, grounded, mature, authentic, loving relationships. And there's other people that are willing to sacrifice those things. If it makes them look like a shining star in the world and they look like their dream came into reality, they don't care if it's an emotionally shallow relationship. They don't care if they're having to indulge someone. They don't care if somebody's manipulating them or indulging them. If the most important thing is to have this certain status or image in the world where they maybe don't have to work through any of their issues, they could think that is living the dream. And other people don't like those things, manipulating them, don't feel proud of themselves being more immature or whatever, and they want to kind of grow to their full potential. And I think as you're moving forward in that energy, there's other people that are going to see that you are authentic. You're not trying to manipulate and control people. You're not in these shadowy energies. They've already been in relationships with people who are like that, and they will be willing to invest in you and defend you just like you are defending people like that are in your life. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy that they might not see coming? The Chariot, why? Because of the Queen of Wands. So they're always, you know, at whatever stage of life people are at, people can always have some people who are a little more emotionally balanced and inspired by love or bold or brave or confident who want to be in a relationship with people. And what they don't see coming is that if some of these people keep repeating these patterns and they have people in their life who are willing to work together with them, but they want people to be authentic. No more illusions. No more keeping things buried beneath the surface. Be authentic. Be, quit repeating some patterns and thinking I'm just supposed to keep indulging you in it. And eventually some high vibe people in their life are going to move away because they love themselves. The Chariot is Cancer energy, and I view the Queen of Wands as Leo energy. I love and believe in myself. And if I'm treating you, again, in a more just and fair and authentic and loving way, I deserve to be treated that way. And if you want to keep hiding the truth, not be more authentic, live your life this certain way, then I'm going to temper my ego, work through my own fears and insecurities about why I would be tempted to stay. And I'm going to do that work within myself, and I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, even though I am stressed about moving forward in life differently. I already know this isn't going anywhere. Nothing is changing. So the only person, and the Six of Swords leaves behind the Five of Swords. The fives can talk about change. We can be loving and encouraging people to other people, hoping they'll change. But the only person we can change, everybody has free will. And if that's not their free will to want to look at those things or look at life differently, then the only person we can change is us. So then we temper our ego and realize if this makes me feel unhappy and I feel betrayed and I feel people are being deceptive and manipulative or selfish or intimidating or defensive or bossy and controlling, then I've got to look at life differently. Why do I stay? And I'm going to offer myself that cup of love to stand up for what I believe in. And then, some people are used to people continuing to indulge them, and people have indulged them in the past, and some of the people in their life right now have been indulging them, and they keep thinking they'll keep indulging them. And then they could be like, what? You're not going to indulge me anymore? What? You believe in yourself? Like, when did that happen? I never do that. When did you do that? And that was when people were doing this inner work within themselves. And they weren't paying any attention while they were doing whatever they were doing. And the other people in their life did get more balance within themselves and And they just weren't even seeing it, or they kept trying to manipulate them or control them or tempt them or something. And then it's like, I'm not the same person I was. I've changed. And then these people kind of be in their ego that people weren't willing to indulge them in their more immature ways of being. And so then they'll create that illusion and they'll probably repeat this pattern. And if they keep repeating this pattern, the same thing's going to keep happening with high vibe people. And the people who will end up staying in a relationship with them are people who harness this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way, where they present themselves as these emotionally balanced, loving family people, but really it's more driven out of ego. I present myself a certain way so people will get in a relationship with me, but it's really my ego that drives me. I want these things of the world. I don't want to change. Other people could have wanted me to grow up and mature myself. No. I'm willing to indulge you in a relationship for these things of the world. It looks victorious and successful. I'll stay in a relationship with you. And then they both might be hiding that they'd like to end it, because sometimes, it's just the fear or the insecurity or the greed or the ego, the codependency that makes them stay in it. And it's not really love. It's not, no one is inspiring, hopeful, believing, loving energy, because they both reject that within themselves. And they'd kind of like to be in a relationship with people who are like more hopeful and believing and creative, inspired, who aren't maybe living more from their mind than their heart. But those people moved on and they rejected kind of those people. And then they could be in their ego about it and unwilling to admit that they made a mistake. And so they keep moving forward in an illusion that really isn't their idea of the dream life, but too prideful to get out of it and give up some of those things of the world to love and believe in themselves. So, there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.